What's up, everybody? So today we're back in the garage with the Subaru. Last video you guys saw, we went through, we stripped the car completely down. I was looking for any more hidden damage or hidden rust that we hadn't seen before. And of course, we found more damage. We ended up finding out that the floor pan on the driver's side was bad. The rockers were bad. The quarter panel section between the rocker and the quarter, that dogleg area, was also rotted. And I was pretty conflicted as to what to do with this car. I didn't know if we should just, scrap the idea of building it, just part it out and abandon it, or if we go through and go with the full restoration route and save it, put it back on the road. But I asked you guys for suggestions, and you guys were just as conflicted as I was. I had a few of you guys tell me to part it out. I had a few of you guys tell me to find a new shell, and I had a good majority of you guys that actually wanted to see it restored, which obviously I would like to see that route too. It's just the amount of time and energy it's going to take to rebuild this thing. So I started weighing my options here, looking to see what's available. Started out with looking for a shell. And of course, most of the shells I looked at around here, they were either in way worse condition or basically the same shape as this one. I suppose if I went farther east or west coast, I may be able to find some better ones, but anything that's relatively close to where I'm at here, they're all very rough. The chassis that we have here is relatively clean compared to everything else that I've seen. With that being said, I decided to go and see what's available as far as parts are, and I was able to find replacement rocker panels. I was able to find quarter panel patches, so it's basically just that dogleg section up to the quarter panel and almost to the taillight area. Basically that whole piece there. Now, as far as the quarter panel goes, I've mentioned this before, I don't care about those. We're gonna cut those out. We're gonna go wide body anyway. I just need that dogleg section up to a certain point. We'll probably have to rebuild the inner wheel well to make it wide body. Realistically, this isn't a bad chassis to build off of. And with that being said, I did go through and I ordered the rocker panels and the dogleg quarter panel patches. So we will be going through and restoring this car. It's gonna be a ton of work, but I think it'll definitely be worth it. I want to see this car completed. I have a vision in my head of exactly how I want it to look and how I want it to be. It's just gonna take the time, energy, and everything else to get it together. We're gonna need a bunch of stuff. We're gonna need some sheet metal. We'll probably need 18 to 22 gauge metal for the floor pans and the strut towers, so I'll have to source that. We're gonna need some dry ice to remove all the sound deadening in the interior, so we can get that all completely stripped out and removed so we can recoat it, whether it be a bed liner, paint, whatever, just to get it all sealed back in once we get the patches all filled in. This is gonna be a huge project. Hopefully you guys are excited for this. I definitely am. It's a little overwhelming, but I think it's something we can do. It's a little bit small of a garage, but like I said, I think it's possible. So let's go out and see what we can find for sheet metal and dry ice and all that stuff. Oh, and the other thing is, I've determined I'm not gonna do the 5-speed swap on the 2.2 liter. I'm just gonna scrap that idea. We're gonna go through, get the chassis prepped, cleaned, restored, good condition, and I'm gonna try to find myself a WRX from a 02 to 07, whether it be a sedan or a wagon, and just swap this car all in one go. So we're making this project way bigger, but I think it'll be worth it in the long run. So let's go find some sheet metal and some dry ice and get the undercoating, the sound deadening, all that stuff out of here, and just jump right into this.
A few moments later.
Well, I think I got plenty of metal now. As you guys can see here, I picked up two 4x8 sheets of cold rolled steel. We got the top layer here, which is a 22 gauge, and then this bottom layer here is an 18 gauge. So we'll probably use the 18 gauge inside there on the strut towers and the floor pan. The 22 gauge we more likely use internally, like on the rocker panel area underneath that rocker, and then we'll probably inside the wheel wells there to build new arches and stuff in that area. But yeah, for the price that I paid on these ones, at least to me, it seems like a good deal. I looked at Home Depot and Menards and Lowe's, stuff like that, and they had little 2x2 whatever squares of sheet metal and gauges of 16 to 22, just kind of all over the place. And those are like 20, 30 bucks, whereas this entire sheet here was $70. Given I don't need all this metal, but for that price, it seems like a really good deal to me. Obviously, they could cut it out to any size I wanted. It was just an additional $10 fee to cut it. And I figured, you know what? I'll just take the whole sheet as is and cut it here. So we should have, like I said, plenty of metal for this project and any upcoming projects. But yeah, honestly, I'd say that's a pretty good deal. Now, as far as the interior goes, I went ahead, we got the dry ice just sitting in a bag, but I picked up a bag of dry ice here. So we'll use it on the floor pan like I mentioned before. I've already gone through and started chipping away at it, which you guys can see here. And it didn't really come off the best. As you guys can see there, it's still pretty stuck on. Most of these other areas, like underneath the seats, just were kind of brittle and popped up on their own. But the rest of that back there, it was pretty much sticking down. So same thing goes with the passenger side floor pans here and here. The front sections, for the most part, came up on their own. So we shouldn't need too much dry ice, but we'll use it here to get the rest of this sound deadening off. So let's go ahead, break that up, and get it dispersed, and then go and pop up all the sound deadening. Like crazy. Sound deadening's breaking up. Oh, did you guys see that? Listen to that go. All the sound deadening is removed aside from underneath the heater core there. I was going to wait to do that once we pull this out. We'll wait for that once I figure out what I'm doing, finding a WRX swap for this car. So yeah, just a little bit underneath there. But for now, everything is removed. We can see all the rust that we're working with. Overall, the rest of the chassis looks relatively clean. There's really nothing here on the passenger side. There's just a little bit. It's right there, but I think that's all just surface. The driver's side definitely needs to be patched, welded in. You can see the hole and stuff kind of over there next to the rocker. The rear section here, I think that's just surface too, but we'll see once we wire wheel it and get it all ground down to see what that looks like. But overall, the floor pan and stuff doesn't look terrible. It's mostly just our strut towers. There's a little bit of like surface rust in that trunk pan there. But yeah, it's looking pretty good. So now I think we'll go through, we'll need to wire wheel this all down, and we'll probably go through and wire wheel the wheel wells in the back there to get those all cleaned up and stripped down, just to see exactly what we're working with. So you guys can see here, we got the floor pan all cleaned up. Went ahead, wire wheeled everything and got all the residual glue, sound deadening all removed. So now we can see how bad our rust is. Obviously, driver's side floor pan, it's pretty bad. We'll have to cut that out and patch it, but it looks to be mostly flat surface, so it shouldn't be too bad. There is one spot here on the rear section that looks to be kind of pitted and bad, so we may cut that out as well and patch that in. As far as the passenger side floor pan, this side looks fine. It just seems to be this front little corner section there. So we may, depending on what the condition is on that, we may cut that out, patch that in as well. Rear seat pan looks really good. The trunk section also looks fine. I was getting kind of worried there how bad that was. It just seems to be that lower base section where that spare tire is set. So we may cut that out and patch it in just to get that completed and fixed as well. Other than that, we just have the strut towers and that C-pillar wall there. Same thing on this side here, which, like I said, that'll be a big project once we go to jump into that. But yeah, overall, interior looks great. So now I think we'll go ahead and move on to our back section here, and we'll take care of our rear wheel wells. So, as you guys just saw there, we got the undercoating completely stripped out and removed of those wheel wells, and I've got a huge mess. It went everywhere. You guys saw I did the sound deadening on the interior, did all that vacuuming and stuff, and it's pretty much contained to inside the car. But this stuff, it's everywhere, so I gotta clean all that up. And before we go through and start cutting everything out of the car as far as any rust or anything else goes, I think we're gonna take a little bit of a break, just kind of pause here for a little bit, because I've got those rocker panels on order as well as the quarter panel patches. So I want to see exactly how those line up and fit before we go through and cut everything out. So once those come in, we'll just dive back into this car. But for now, taking a little bit of a break, we got the undercoating, we got the sound deadening, all that stuff removed. We have a pretty clean chassis, still needs a ton of work, but it's nice to see that the inner structures of the wheel wells look to be in pretty good shape after we got those undercoating removed, as well as the frame rails. So all those are good. It just seems to be that section kind of up above, like where the strut tower kind of meets the inner structure of the car itself. So we'll get the quarter panels cut out, we'll get those patches made and welded and all that. But yeah, main thing is I want to wait until the rockers, quarter panel patches come in and just see how those fit up. And we'll take our 18 gauge, 22 gauge steel. We'll probably start with a floor pan just so I can practice welding again, and then move on back to the inner structure there. So hope you guys are excited for this build. I definitely am. It's going to be a ton of work, but I am looking forward to it. It'll be kind of nice to learn a new skill set here. It's going to be a huge project, but I'm definitely down for it. So we'll see where this goes and where this takes us. So if you guys are excited for it, make sure a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe so you guys stay up to date with all the videos and don't miss any Subaru content. But otherwise, I will see you guys in the next one.